Welcome back to the show, and this is Relax Radio with none other than me, Nick, keeping you guys company all the way until 4 p.m. And yeah, that's right. We got a lot we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about what is happening in the UK, and things are going crazy. It's going bonkers, bananas, even because apparently the police attacked. As the Kill Bill demonstration, it's turned violent. So yeah, protesters have attacked police after thousands of people turned up for a demonstration that officers had strongly advised against attending. So yeah, officers suffered broken bones. Police vans were set alight as angry scenes unfolded in Bristol city center. So yeah, crowds are gathered, for the Kill Bill demonstration in opposition to the police and a crime bill that is been issued in the UK. Yeah, the sentencing and court bills, and how it'll change protests and all that. The police, crime sentencing, and courts bills. They had this. It's a massive legislation. That includes major government proposals on crime and justice in England and the Wales. So uncovering one part of it, it covers the changes to protests. So what powers do the police have now? That's what we're asking ourselves, in regards to these protests. So if police want to place restrictions on a protest, they generally all they have to do is show it may result in some serious public disorder, serious damage to property, or serious disruption to the life of the community. So yeah, that's one of the reasons. Ironically, that this happened. Ironically, the Bristol protests became violent. I mean, now officers are having the right. They have the right, to stop the. They have the right to restrict these protests, especially that is going on right now with this one with in Bristol. So yeah, that's just crazy stuff. And demonstrators scaled a police station. They threw fireworks into the crowds and daubed graffiti on the walls. So yeah, the Home Secretary Preeti Patel described the events as totally unacceptable. And yeah, thuggery and disorder by a minority will not be tolerated. That's what she said. So she further quotes, our police officers put themselves in harm's way to protect us all. So yeah, Avon and Somerset police said that what had started as a peaceful protest had turned by a small minority into a violent disorder. So yeah, two police vehicles were set alight on flame, and damage was caused, to the police station. And one officer actually suffered a broken arm, and another suffered broken ribs. This was all stated by the police department. They're telling, hey, this kind of scene that happened. So yeah, if you guys are wondering though, it started off apparently as at the beginning of the night, the mood was all good. It wasn't that aggressive. That's what the first-hand accounts are telling us rather, that it wasn't so aggressive in the beginning. It was just a real peaceful protest, and there were broken glass across the road. Some people had to climb up on top of traffic lights, but there was no police intervention. Then the dense crowd eventually splintered, with some moving away to carry on drinking and listening to music, and the atmosphere became more violent. It just aggravated people because I don't know if you've ever been in a protest. So I don't know if I'm talking for myself, but you get caught up in the crowd, the mob mentality, That's what's happened right here. This whole mob mentality. So yeah, the atmosphere became more volatile. People became more aggressive, and riot police in full protective gear formed a barricade in front of the police station. But the officers still did not engage with the protesters at all, whatsoever. Not at all. They've not done anything at all. So yeah, they just stood there, with their shields. Their vans were daubed with a bunch of graffiti, all of that. And there was a lot of profanity, and some of it hostile towards the police themselves. And the Home Secretary Preeti Patel, that they were throwing aggressive words, very violent, hostile words, obscene words towards the police and the Home Secretary as well. So yeah, then the atmosphere became more crazy, and it took a marked turn rather when the first police vehicle was set on fire. So yeah, there was a huge black smokes, that rose up from the Bridewell Street, and a number of small protesters, jumped onto the roof of a second police van, thumping on the glass as the officers tried to reverse. I mean, first of all, the whole protest scene is, you're trying to prove a point. And what you're doing is you're just proving the point of why they should put restrictions on protests. I mean, guys, come on. You can do better than that. Because look, end of the day, it beats the purpose. The purpose is for a peaceful protest. And you want to fight against this whole bill, and they're imposing these kind of bills. But then in the end of the day, you start throwing, flames and, destroying police vehicle, attacking police officers. Just goes to prove the point that they're gonna have to put restrictions on these protests, because it's gonna get even bad. It's gonna get worse, and especially in a time like right now when there is the COVID pandemic that's happening, and police officers have to go to the hospitals. And because look, first of all, you got to remember the hospitals are also crowded with the people who are suffering from the pandemic. There's going to be people who the hospitals are overburdened. And what you're doing is you're harming police officers, you're harming innocent people as well, other people in the protests who might not have been involved. You are harming those guys, and in the end they are going to these hospitals who are already overburdened. So that is something that is happening right now. And then people should look into this, and they should be more thoughtful. I mean, I know you get it easy. It's easy to get caught up in the mob mentality. It is super easy. Because I've been in those protests, where the energy is just crazy. But at the same time, you got to realize, why are you doing this? What is the point of this protest? You shouldn't be doing things that you're not supposed to be doing, because it beats the purpose of the whole protest, in my opinion. So there was a lot of these things, like the police vehicles were set on fires, others were smashed up, and their tires were let down at the crowd. Were chanting "shame on you" and all of that. So police said perpetrators would be identified and brought to justice. So it's not clear if any arrests have been made, but a spokesperson for Avon and Somerset Police said there would be significant consequences for behaviors such as this. I mean, it's crazy. There's so many people, holding their banners, and there's like, this bill is a public nuisance and all of that. I can see these banners and all of that. But, first of all, to throw fireworks at the crowds in the protest is just ludicrous. I mean, you shouldn't have been doing that in the first place. So I don't even know what is going on. What are you trying to achieve? What is the point of this? That is the real question. What is the point of all this violence? That is my kind of question. And the Avon and Somerset Police Federation chairman Andy Roebuck said this is the worst violence in Bristol for many, many years. I mean, it's truly unfortunate for something like this to happen, especially in a time like this when you're trying to prove a peaceful point. And he further goes to state, quote, "It's really unprecedented violence between 4 and 6 or possibly more officers who are seriously injured, and some have broken bones. And no one had any indication it would erupt this way." I mean, nobody expected it to be like this. We all expected it to be a very peaceful kind of protest. But then in the end, it became crazy. It started surging, and the violence, the energy, the aggressiveness was in the air, and it was undeniable. It was just in the air like that. So that was what happened. So it's just crazy. So there were videos. I don't know if you guys saw videos on Twitter, that showed protesters rocking and kicking a police van while officers on horseback were pushed by the crowd. So a police spokesperson said that officers are continuing to deal with a smaller number of protesters in Bridewell Street, and they've had projectiles thrown at them, including a firework, and have been verbally abused. This is a totally unacceptable behavior, and those responsible for offenses will be identified and brought to justice. So the campaigners, have staged a string of protests against the bill, in case you guys are wondering, which would give the police more power to deal with non-violent demonstrations. I mean, look at it. I mean, just saying it like that makes me feel weird. Like it. Look, first of all, it was supposed to be a non-violent protest. That is the whole point. And you guys made it more violent. It just goes to show how a non-violent protest can become violent under the wrong circumstances. This is what happens. And many attendees, in Bristol, wore face masks, carried placards with slogans such as, "Say no to UK police state," "Freedom to protest is fundamental to democracy," "Kill the bill." Avon and Somerset Police had encouraged people to stay away from the demonstration and attend virtual protests instead. So mass gatherings are currently banned under coronavirus legislation, and anyone breaching legislation could be fined, though some MPs have said the law should change to allow protests. I mean, what are you guys even thinking? Do you even allow protests right now, especially with the virus going on, with a variant as well, which is even worse. And we're already low on doses. The plan is to get everyone vaccinated by the end of July. But July is still a long way ahead. You don't know what's going to happen. I mean, these guys should watch out, for what they're doing. So yeah, this weekend though, we've seen a number of protest demonstrations with campaigners gathering in support of a lot of various causes. So it's just deplorable for them to be doing something like this. I mean, hey, it's just what it is. I mean, if if you ever are in a protest and if you're ever in a demonstration like this, make sure not to get caught up in all this violence, in all that aggressiveness, in that hostility in the air. Because you know, hate breeds hate. It begets more hate. That's all. Violence will beget more violence. So to avoid all of this, we got to break that chain of cycle. We got to break that chain of thought. And yeah, and with that, we got to step into some more music.